Hello gamers, this is your buddy Work, D&D Hobbyist, and this is our recap of our ongoing Tomb of Annihilation campaign, our Sunday monthly. We play once a month on a Sunday in person in beautiful Grand Rapids, Michigan. And someone landed on the page and was like, what is this? And this is a Dungeons & Dragons campaign, and I do these monthly diaries or recaps, summaries of kind of what happened and kind of my reflections on the session. This is again for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. There are spoilers. I talk about the adventure, the module, the campaign as if you have read it or played it as a DM or as a player. I sort of go through my personal thoughts and experiences on these things. So it's not advice really, it's more just reflection and to kind of give folks an idea what it's like inside of a long-term campaign. So this is the recap for September, and we are actually about to play our October game tomorrow. So today is Saturday, October 15th, I think. So I just wanted to briefly go over what we did, and I also wanted to show some of the tools that I use, some of the things that I have. Um, I know that I've shown you some of the index cards before and the way that I print them out, and I think that I showed the deck of many things that I bought from Forged. So just a couple more things that I use or things that help me feel prepared for the session. I have the benefit of, since I am the DM, we play at my house, so I have a lot of resources at hand. I have DM'd groups where I had to travel to someone's house that was more centrally located, and it's just nicer to have everything right here, so you don't have to transport it back and forth, which is a drag. So I have some of the things that I have ready for this next session. First of all, of course, Tomb of Annihilation. I have the hard copy. I also have the soft copy on D&D Beyond. Just I bought them both. My wife and we buy ourselves Christmas and then give it to the other person, so we always get something that we really want. So I bought a soft copy and a hard copy just so I would have access to everything. And that does help because I can look at the soft copy on my phone or on a tablet or print things out, which I'll often do. But I also like to have the hard copy. It allows me to, read it in a waiting room. It gave me the hard copy of the big fold-out map that I gave to the players. The hex crawl map. I'll still, like I said, I'll print things out of D&D Beyond. So whenever I have monsters, whenever I have a combat coming up, I will generally I'll make out index cards. So like this is like a Yuan-Ti encounter, Yuan-Ti. 3 purebloods and 2 malazans, and I do their AC and hit points, and I have the hit points already written out, so I can just tack them and tally them as we have combat. When we roll initiative, I will write the first letter of everybody's character name, and then I just kind of go through the list, tack, 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 every time. But even though I have this guy, I will still print out the monster entry, which it's paper. I know it's rather wasteful to print this stuff out, but it proves very handy to me to have my notes and then to have the reference and not have to flip or change pages in the book or on a browser. So I generally do that. So I'll have my encounters planned. So in this upcoming, I have sort of a random encounters that we're rolling, and the one's the Yuan-Ti encounter. There's Yuan-Ti everywhere, and the party hasn't directly faced the Yuan-Ti yet. They've been performing machinations. They've been dabbling in the background and screwing stuff up. Like whenever they did research in Port Nyanzaru, the Yuan-ti had already removed all the information about the Yuan-ti from both libraries, or from the free public library, and then from the other library they had already purchased it, so it just wasn't available. There was if they had stayed in Port Nyanzaru another day, I had the spy fake guide was going to draw them into a trap of the Yuan-ti. So they're going to, probably in this session for sure, start to encounter Yuan-ti if they don't make it all the way to the Fane of the Serpent, the Yuan-ti temple with Rosnasi. So we'll see if it gets there. I am a little bit prepared for that, not completely. But some of my other encounters are Zinarum encounter. We didn't run into the Zinarum in the jungle, so I put a Zinarum encounter in Omu, and that's going to be the toughest encounter that they have to deal with. I mean, that's like the assassin, a priest, 6 thugs, and 3 tribal warriors for 4 characters. Level 6, I think they are. So, I mean, it might be something. They're going to run into the Red Wizards, and I'll explain why whenever we get into the recap. I have a white encounter. I also have a Bodak still. So if they're traveling around at night, they're going to encounter whites and or Bodak. And I put together a troll encounter, just 3 trolls. I said there's a big one, there's one with 2 heads, and there's one with 3 arms. So I made, the big one has extra hit points, it does a little extra damage. The 2-headed one has an extra bite attack, and the 3-armed one, of course, has an extra claw attack. So just to spice things up a little bit, I don't think they've actually fought trolls yet. I'm trying to remember that Gabe is still a brand new D&D player, so I kind of want to, in addition to all of the fresh stuff in Tomb of Annihilation, I would like to give him some more of the classic encounters, like trolls. I know that he's fought goblins so far, but trolls, who knows? Maybe fit an Albarian somewhere. So that's sort of what I do for monsters or for encounters, so that I'm prepared. Then I also have some minis. So I get like, this is an Ankylosaurus of some kind. It's about the right size for the scale. I got these, I think, from a tube at Target. It was like a tube full of like 12 dinosaurs. And I also today, if depending on if they go to the Colosseum, the King of Feathers is a big encounter in Omu. It's basically a misty stepping T-Rex with feathers, and I had this old, what was it? A fiendish Tyrannosaurus. So this was from 3rd edition. And I thought a fiendish Tyrannosaurus would do well for the King of Feathers. This has been in my house forever, and my daughters play with it and think that it's really gnarly. So I think it would be a good T-Rex for the King of Feathers. And we'll just say, you see this. So I got that. Like I said, I do like to print out my favorite images or graphical representations of the monsters, so whenever I am describing them, I have that out. That helps me to describe them. It also helps them to see it in their mind's eye, or with their regular eye. Like Sturges, there's so many artistic representation of Sturges that I feel like I need to kind of share mine. And the same thing with dragons. There are dragons that look like like lizards and turtles, and there's dragons that look very serpentine and very like curly and thin and mystical. So I like to show exactly what it is that the way that I see it, and that way I feel like we're having more of a shared experience, whether we do or not, whatever. But Sioux Monster, I really liked that picture of a Sioux Monster, with the bald pate, and you can see this guy giving you a psychic blast. Like, I can feel this guy is a grumpy, angry, skinny, greasy little monster that will hit you with a psychic blast and eat your face. So, like, I liked that one. Trolls, like, there's, again, a bajillion representations of trolls. So I was just going to say, for the troll encounter, they look like this. And I think that's a Paizo troll. I'm not sure. Bag of nails. In Omu, if they come to the bridge, they try to cross the bridge, you're going to deal with Bag of Nails, who is an elderly dying tabaxi. So I wanted to be able to say, there's a tabaxi dressed in tribal garb. Ta-da! The Bodak, that was kind of the scariest Bodak. That's like the middle one, I think, 4th edition maybe. I don't know what that one was. And then I had another King of Feathers image. So that's that stuff. I also, right now, we're going through and getting the cubes. So I was gonna cut out and tape the cubes to some blocks that my daughters have, but there's a lot of free resources out there. There's a lot of things that you can get your hands on that make it easier for you as a dungeon master. And like, I found the printout from the appendix, the Trickster Gods of Omu printout from Appendix F. I didn't really like it. I struggled with it. I felt this, it showed you the stone block, which was kind of hard to see. It also does a silhouette of it, which is a little easier to see. It shows like their name and what kind of creature they are. Because I kept mixing up the Kamdan and the Jakuli, so this helped me. It gives you, what they're known for, like, it's wild and spirited, and then and who their enemy is. So it's like all the information you really need about that trickster god, except for like the boons that it would give you. Which, whatever, we can get to that, but this guy really helped me out, Moa and Zorbo and Ibli. So, don't just restrict yourself to things you have to buy. If you have a little bit of time, I don't have a lot of time, so I just kind of flip around and click on stuff, and if something catches my eye, I'll save it to the drive. But that's pretty much it for this next session. Sorry, my leg's falling asleep. So I gotta unfold there. Okay. Put that back there. So, session recap. We met and we had everybody except for Connor, which is Uriel, the half-elf rogue. So we had Alicia and her druid Stima, dark elf. And we had Dayton with his human cleric of the death god Jurgle. His name is Beauregard. And we also had Gabe. And Gabe is playing a half-orc barbarian. So they were at Curseball. They were at the Arakakra Monastery that's perched on a cliffside. And they had brought back the black orchid from Nangalore. And there was much rejoicing. The main thing that I said was that the town was abuzz, right? This is a monastery. It was quiet. It was somber. Like what you would imagine going into a large Buddhist temple would be like, right? Very peaceful, a lot of prayer, hymns or singing of chants and things like that. But upon their return, the place was full of life. People were bustling around. People were talking, and they could hear talk of the heroes, They could overhear the word Omu, 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 like all over the place. Nangalore, Orchid, Ritual, like they were overhearing. The monastery was coming alive in a way that seemed kind of alien to it, right? It seemed like an emergency or a festival, or it seemed like it didn't belong, but it was a very energizing thing for the party. So the party came back. They did all of that. They rested. When they rested, I gave them all dreams, and they were pretty much dreams of I don't know, things to come. So I'd already been giving Beauregard the dreams of the Atrophal. So I gave him, again, the dream of the Atrophal. I gave him dreams of the 3 hags and like their faces and what they look like. And then finally the devil face, which is on all the gargoyles, replaced by a Sararak. So he's getting like the key players in the overall Death Curse story arc. He doesn't know who any of these people are. He doesn't know where they are or what they're doing, but he's being given this by his god. So he'll know them when he sees them, kind of thing. The next thing I gave Steema the trickster gods. So she was in her dreams surrounded by 9 pedestals, and on each pedestal was the trickster god, and they were way above her, and they were huge, and they were all saying, choose me, choose me, choose me. And as she would approach them, they would rotate, and a different trickster god would be there. So as she approached them, they got farther away, but I did explain like how they were in a circle and each opposed another. And then finally she said, like, I choose none of you. And then she woke up. Also, whenever everybody wakes up, whenever they wake up, they hear this loud trill, like a bird call. The last one was Gabe. So the half-orc, he has a lot of ties to nature. His backstory is that his mother was a dryad. And I gave him like an item that's very sylvan in nature. But his dream was that he was in a valley, and the valley was full of greenery, and he saw an almirage, the unicorn rabbits. Here, I'm going to grab that because I don't want to say the wrong word the whole time. It's Igen, the Amirage. Messing that up. Anyway, so there were Amirage everywhere, and then there was a great big one, which he assumed to be, he didn't know is the trickster god Amirage. And they're all like, Amirage, right? And they're Igen. They're all cheering him on, and there's a giant turtle, and the greenery is carrots, and he's pulling carrots out of the ground and eating the carrots slowly. And he had a conversation with the giant turtle. The giant turtle chose him as his champion and explained that they have a race. He races the Amirage forever, basically, and that he always loses, and you can be my champion and you can win. And this was out of one of the DM's Guild supplements. It was actually an encounter from that, but I turned it into a dream. And he basically, the goal is to distract the Amirage. Distract it 3 times, and the giant turtle will have enough time to win. So they started, and he was off to a good. He was like, slow and steady wins the race, and like the Aijin come over to him and was like, "What do you mean slow and steady wins the race? The fast wins the race. Like that's how you win a race. A race is to see who's fast. Like what craziness are you talking about?" And he like took out a carrot and is like eating carrot. He's like, "What you're saying doesn't make any sense to me at all." And he's like, talking to the other Amirages around there, and they're scratching their heads and they don't know. What do you mean slow and steady wins the race? That's the opposite of what wins a race, right? So I played it up that and the turtles keeps going slowly towards the finish line, and then after a bit of time, Aijin's like, "Oh, the race," and he starts running towards the giant turtle. So what do you do? And he was like, "I run." And basically, long story short, he never tried to distract Aijin again, and Aijin won. So it was more of a like he just didn't understand what it was that was going to help the turtle win. I don't know what I could have done to say, because he did distract him once, and I showed like everything how it was distracting and how it helped the turtle, and the turtle had made it like a third of the way before Aijin like snapped out of it and started racing again. I don't know. So I kind of failed with that. Aijin won the race. He woke up. He hears this loud squawk. Everybody hears this loud squawk, and they wake up, and that is basically the alarm at Curse of All Monastery. So they woke up to the night raid by the gargoyles. So the devil-faced gargoyles are there. We had a sort of quick fight. It went pretty quick. Initially, I had thought that these were the forearm gargoyles, and I was like, how are we going to do this? I'll just have one of them, and I was still like, I don't know if they can do one of them. Because at this time, they were, I think, level 5. Once they got to Omu, I told them, whenever they rest, they can level, but I don't know when they're going to rest. So right now, they're still level 5. But, so the gargoyles came, and the Aarakocra monks were fighting and fighting and fighting the gargoyles, but the gargoyles have damage resistance, so they just really weren't doing a whole lot. They're attacking them with swords and like throwing darts and staves and things like that, staves. And they're just not doing much damage to these gargoyles. And the party enters into the fray and just smoked them. I mean, they focus fire, beat one down, move to the next one, beat it down. I think they in all took out maybe 7 gargoyles, but it was very low difficulty for them. A couple people got hit pretty good, but otherwise, no real danger. Back to bed, they rested up, they got the ritual of the 7 winds. The way that I described it was, as the ritual went on, the Ashara, the priestess or the guru, the head of the monastery, the teacher, she, as the ritual went on, her feathers diminished and diminished and diminished, her wings. And then at the very end, all of the characters were like lifted into the air, and then boom, they all had big beautiful plumage and feathers. So that was the way that I described it. So now they all have giant bird wings, just like an Aarakocra, which is what the ritual does. And the component was consumed, etc., etc., etc. Not long after this, the party takes off. So it can do up to 10 people for 3 days. So we did all of the party members. We still had Nick's character, Wayne, who was a wizard. And we said that he took all of the guides except for Eku back to Port Nyanzaru. He was going to report back to the Merchant Prince and Cinder Sylvain, if she's alive, and let everybody know what was going on and all the information they had collected, etc., etc., etc. So everybody's gone now except for the party and Eku. Eku volunteered to go with. So they flew to Omu and I realized that I had Omu in the wrong place, which is not that big of a deal, I don't believe. They actually kind of encourage you to do this sort of thing, and they're flying anyway, so they're bypassing. Oh, excuse me, they're bypassing everything. But instead of going very, very far to the southwest from Kursabal to get to Omu, I had them go past Nangalore to the south southeast. So they went past Nangalore and were able to find Omu. They could see Omu because there's a large pillar of steam. There's steam and smoke and everything from the volcanoes. So it was just a specific plume that they headed towards. The Aarakocra had informed them that that would be their landmark and to fly towards it. So they flew toward it. They got there. Again, they brought a little bit of gear, like some rain catchers and such. They weren't especially concerned about trying to survive with the cleric being able to cast, create food and water, etc. But so they got there. They were very high up. They scouted out the whole area. They saw Yanti coming and going out of the temple. They saw. That's about it. Like they see people scurrying around every once in a while, but most people just weren't exposed out in the middle of nowhere. They saw that the whole area has the gargoyles on the cliffs with the devil faces. I told him the story, or the Aarakocra told him the story, that the gargoyles really only interfere with you if you try to leave. And my reasoning on that is that Acererak wants people to come to Omu and die in the Tomb of the Nine Gods, right? He wants to feed the dungeon and get loot, etc. So, like, you're free to enter, but you can't leave, sort of thing. The Aarakocra had also explained that the two ways into the Valley of Omu was down through the river. The river would cascade into Omu, and then eventually it cascades out of Omu into lava. So that's what the plume was the river flowing into lava. The other way in is the main entrance, which is kind of to the west. The party, after scouting the city, decided to go directly to the main boulevard running north-south through Omu. A big open, I don't know what you call it, promenade, or, so the big main thoroughfare. And they went to the far north and landed up there, which put them actually close to the entry to the Temple of the Nine Gods. But once they were there, they just wanted to go south, right down the street. They were basically just looking for trouble. They wanted to see what was in there. So right after they landed, I rolled to see if gargoyles attacked. So I gave them a random encounter on gargoyles. They didn't get it. I gave them a random roll for the King of Feathers, because they're kind of in his area. Didn't get it. And they started walking. They were asking, is there anything that looks interesting? Anything? So they went, and the first one was, I think it was the masks, so Wongo, which was the Sioux monster. I may have this backwards. I think it was Wongo. So they see it, they go inside. They didn't go into any of the side hallways. They went up the main hallway. They got inside there. They looked at it. They could see the mask. They could see through the mask guys and realize what was going on. They sent people to look through the mask and report what they saw, which is one's illuminated. And there were four things, and they basically had to solve a riddle, which was a logic puzzle. And they spent a while. I mean, they spent maybe 20 minutes churning it and writing it down and rewriting it and drawing lines and crossing names off and things like that. And they eventually came to the right the right solution. And then, so Uriel wasn't there again, but we were using him, and we just kind of threw his character sheet out, and whoever could play him. So, I was playing him as an NPC at this point because they were like, Uriel should grab the whatever it was out of the monkey's hand. And Uriel was like, all right, everybody stay back, and went up and grabbed it. And it says like curse or fight. Like, do you want to like a curse on one of your allies, or you have to fight me? Oh, for the cube. And they were delirious. He was like, curse or fight, and let him debate. And they were debating and debating and debating. And he's like, right. And he chose fight. He chose fight for him. And so they fought the Sioux monsters. This was the first time they saw Sioux monsters. And right out the bat, Gabe's half-orc barbarian gets stun locked. So it's the rogue and the druid and the cleric fighting. I think the cleric was actually in like the hallway with the mask, the right mask. So it was just the druid and the thief at that point fighting 4 Sioux monsters, and they made pretty short work of them. It wasn't too bad, but it was a little like, it was the first time the barbarian had really had anything debilitating happen to him. So it was kind of neat for Gabe to be Billy Badass and not be able to do anything, not be able to defend himself or anything. He failed the stun lock save multiple times. So that was pretty cool. They walked up the middle. They found the wagon and the Rosetta Stone translator thing. So even though Eku could translate, now they can translate. They did rubbings on it so that they have this Rosetta Stone. They're planning on taking it back and giving it to the library and the merchant prince that deals in information. Just trying to make the most out of every little tool or resource that they get. What else? They just, like I said, they just went down that main path. They found the Almirage temple or shrine. I guess these are shrines. Found Aijen's shrine, and it was just a puzzle floor, and they were getting frustrated with it. They couldn't really figure it out, and then they were like, I just go up the left side. I just walk through. Or they made Uriel do it, and he walked right up through there, and it didn't. No traps went off. And they were like, okay. So then he did the maze with traps. He finds those traps so easy because he's just a straight thief. So he's really good with traps and locks, etc. So they did that whole challenge or shrine. No big problem. So now they have 2 cubes. The next one, they're not there yet, but the next one that they plan to do at the end of the session, the one that they were going towards, is Shigambi, which is the Kamdan, which is the 4 bronze gladiators or 4 stone gladiators with bronze spears, whatever they are. Looks like a tough encounter. It looks like it's going to be a bit of a challenge to fight these things. So that's going to be the next one. They found the red wizard compound that had been destroyed by Yan Ti. They investigated it. Again, several people with very good investigation. They were able to figure out roughly what had happened. It was kind of... They don't like... The only one that's really had previous encounters with red wizards is Uriel. And Uriel's character wasn't there. He was being played as an NPC. So, I had said that Uriel knew who the red wizards were and didn't like them. He thought they were evil. The one that they had killed was the one at the Old Owl Well in the Mine of Fandelver. And, yeah, they got a really nice ring out of that. But yeah, basically that they're necromancers, and he didn't like them. And uh, oh, also, whenever they were flying as Aarakocra, I also explained that very, very, very far off in the distance was the heart of Ubto, floating. It's one of those floating mountaintop kind of things, like a big stone and soil thing hanging in the air. And they wanted to investigate. I told them it'd be very far away. They would lose a lot of their flight, and all of that. They never inquired to Eku about it or really discussed it at all. I just described it to them and told them that it was very, very far away, and they couldn't really make much out of it, other than it looked very paranormal that this large rock and earth looking thing was floating up in the sky. Again, that has Red Wizard tie-ins, so they didn't go there. Didn't know to, which is good, I guess. So they searched the Red Wizard compound that had been destroyed by the Yuan-Ti, and they found Orvex, the Chultan translator. So they found Orvex, they saved him, he's almost dead, they gave him food and water, they hit him with a lesser restoration, so he's not quite on death's door. He offered to help them. He realizes that they're nice guys. They realize that he's like a paid, just a hireling. Like, he's not a red wizard. He's local, from Chult. He's not a red wizard. They haven't had any other questions about the red wizards, but they do know, he did tell them that there are more red wizards here in Omu, and that they are looking for the cubes. So they're like, well, we have 2 of the cubes, and he got very excited about that. And he was like, we're still searching Omu. We don't even know where all of the cubes are, but they're in these shrines to the 9 trickster gods. And they're like, yeah, we're familiar with the trickster gods. He's like, the shrines themselves are very dangerous. And they're like, we have 2 cubes. And they're like, oh, he's like, oh, you're amazing. All the regular people always are just shocked that this party is like 2 steps ahead and super successful. Oh, you what? So they're like, okay, where's the nearest shrine? We're gonna go clear it out. He's like, well, there's one just up the street here a little bit. We can just go up there. Like, this the Camden one. Like, okay, let's go to that one then. They also know that there's one that's like suspended out in the lava, and they need to go to there before their wings disappear. But they're hesitant to get attention from the Yuan-Ti. They're trying to stay away from the Yuan-Ti temple. But that's not going to be possible. So that's sort of what happened. I said that while all of this was going on, a group of red wizards had recovered a cube from the Ibli, Popzadal. So if they go to Popzadal shrine tomorrow, the crocodiles will be dead, and traps will be sprung, and there will be like, dead zombies and dead, there'll be porters, maybe a red wizard or 2 littering the place. So hopefully they can put together what's going on. I believe tomorrow is going to be mostly trying to complete the challenges of the shrines, just like the 9 trickster gods intended, and getting the cubes. Obviously, Ras Nasi has a cube, and the Red Wizards have a cube. So I expect that they will have a confrontation both with Yuan-Ti and with Red Wizards tomorrow. Beyond that, it's just random encounters and, like I said, the shrines. I expect they're going to rest and level, which will be good. I'd say by the time they get all of the cubes, I'll probably let them level to 7. I pretty much let them level to 6 as soon as they saw Omu. I said, that completed that chapter. But it wasn't, like I said, they need to rest. thinking about getting another player, which would involve reposting my LFG. We could really use an arcane caster of some kind, preferably a wizard or a sorcerer, but even a warlock or a bard would be really beneficial. Right now, we don't have anyone with any knowledge of the arcane. Um, we just have divine casters, a cleric and a druid. Um, which is okay, but again, it's just not ideal. Uh, yeah, that's a long video already, 40 minutes. Okay, you can tell I love this game. I love running the Tomb of Annihilation. I feel like it's going pretty well. It's keeping my interest. It's keeping the interest of the players. Um, yeah, it's just I love this hobby. That's why I'm the D&D hobbyist. Until next time. For the algorithm, they always say, for YouTube, you need to like, comment, and subscribe. If you like, comment, and subscribe, let me know you're out there. We'll continue to do this. Let me know if you like more detail, if that's possible, or less detail. If I should make it more brief, and just kind of say, this is what happened. If there's any parts that you would like to see more of, I tried to show you a little bit more of my tools this time. But yeah, let me know. Let me know you're out there. It seems like the more I post videos, the more views I get. Every once in a while, it'll tickle the algorithm. So please like, comment, subscribe. Again, my name is Workshop. I'm the D&D hobbyist. I'm your DM. Yeah, game on. Have a good one.